In 2025, I went to Anime Expo for the first time, making it my third ever California convention, and I loved it. Afterwards, though, I had some regrets. There were so many things I didn't get to see. My trip was so short, and I wanted to experience more of LA, not just what the convention had to offer. Luckily, I have some amazing friends in Los Angeles who were happy to make this year's AX my best California con yet. I feel like it makes the most sense to give some context to the players in this story. Me, Tessa, who lives in Utah and was coming out for the longest amount of time thus far, my girlfriend of 6 years, Venus, who is a local to Los Angeles and has been going to AX since she was 12, I stay with her whenever I'm out there, and our best friend Ollie, who is closer to LA than me, but not quite local, and very patient with all of our antics. This trip started with a lot of planning, which was too spread out and boring to include, so let's jump to the fun part. Instead of flying, I decided to do the 10-hour drive down from Utah to SoCal, which meant I had more freedom to explore and way more luggage space. This made packing the next 10 days of vacation full of adventure much easier. This was by far the longest drive I had ever had to make, and I was doing it completely solo. I did make a couple stops, and I was sure to eat and stretch my legs, but by the time I got to where I would be staying, I was exhausted. Despite this, we still went out to a bar restaurant to watch some of a World Cup match over dinner. The next morning was my first full day in LA, and I was up bright and early. We got into Alien Stage cosplay for a trip down to Animate LA, the only Animate store in the United States. Del Amo Fashion Center also has the first US Ghibli store and one of the only Shonen Jump stores in the US, which Venus insisted we at least step into and check out. But we were there on a mission. I've had Alien Stage on my radar for a few years. Ruler of My Heart is one of my most listened to songs of the past year, and when Zombie Stage came out, I realized I was fully ready to commit. So I begged my girlfriend to cosplay Mizusua with me and to bring me to the Choose Your Plus One collaboration at the store. While we were there, we got a ton of compliments from other super sweet fans, ate some delicious food, and stocked up on groceries for the coming days. We also went completely over our budget. After that, we went back home to start on our last bits of con crunching until dinner time. Dinner was at Kura Sushi, where we got some Oshikatsu photos, but more importantly, I picked up the Ditto projector I got secondhand. So look forward to that in future videos. Finally, Anime Expo. Because my girlfriend is a local to the con, the badges were delivered to her place, so I didn't have to worry about badge pickup. That meant we could just go straight to our photo shoot. Today we were cosplaying Trucy Wright and Athena Sykes from Ace Attorney. This was also a day of fetch quests. Day 1, the entertainment hall was completely empty since most people hadn't found it at the new location yet, as the convention center is currently under construction, so things moved around a lot. Our photographer was a bit late, so we just hung out for a while. Then, after about 45 minutes of shooting, we had to get going. Venus had an autograph session with Kazuo Meikawa at 1, but it only took around an hour. At 2, we hustled over to pass off some merchandise to a friend, then caught up with some other friends for about 30 minutes. Once we heard the fire marshal directing crowds away from the booth we were near, we decided to head towards the doors to find Ollie. We met up at the Iron Mouse arcade booth and ran into Sea Dog VA. For those of you who don't know, my girlfriend and I competed our Infernal Cult Princess Iron Mouse and Booby cosplays at Anime Los Angeles in 2024, so it was super exciting to get to say hi. He is really kind and was excited to see our cosplays and offered to take a selfie with us. Of course, we had one last quest for the day after that, Dreamland Maid Cafe. While I have gone to my fair share of idol performances and showcases, last year was my first time ever going to a maid cafe, and to say I was hooked would be an understatement. I had high expectations for this year's cafe, and Dreamland did not disappoint. The food was so yummy as always, and the maids are always so cute and sweet, but this year we were lucky enough to be in an empty enough time slot that we had 3 maids chatting with us while we ate. Talk about princess treatment. After our yummy sandwich box and ice cream parfait, my girlfriend and I always find that one entree and one dessert ends up being the perfect serving size to split, was the main attraction, the idol performance. They had multiple groups do multiple dances, including Uma's in America and Make Debut. The maids are super talented, so the show is always a delight, so if you add it to your itinerary for next year, which I definitely recommend, be sure to bring your pen lights to cheer them on. After that, we pedaled back into my car to finish our prep for the next day. Day 2 of AX was actually a half day of Anime Expo and then a half day of Hololive. A few months ago, the 3 of us came together with an idea: turn 3 of the Advent girls into Sabrina Carpenter. Our end result didn't read as much as Sabrina as we wanted, but it was still great. Our shoot wasn't until later in the day, so we started off in Artist Alley. My girlfriend is obsessive about Artist Alleys. She will stock catalogs for weeks before every con she goes to. I've even seen her do it for conventions she wasn't going to. On Friday, though, she was only interested in a stamp rally and some gifts for a friend. We only hit about 5 or 6 booths before it started to get too crowded to maneuver, so we called it a day and went back upstairs to see some of the activations. None of the booths were particularly interesting though, so we crossed the entire convention and ended up having our shoot a full hour early. This was great because afterwards we had to run to the car to change and reapply makeup for our other shoot that day. Both shoots went super smoothly and the photos are beautiful, so I'm super glad we could squeeze them both in, even if it was a bit of a rush. Then it was time for business, serendipity. A little known fact about my girlfriend is that she has an awful sense of how long things take and a lot of anxiety about missing things because of lateness. We drove through McDonald's for dinner and ended up at the Shrine Auditorium at a crisp 1:30 p.m. for a concert whose doors open at 6:30. We spent the next 4 hours taking turns running up to the car to cool off, using cooling towels, and passing out the freebies we bought. It was fun, but totally exhausted, and when security came an hour early, they told Vina she had to put her bag up in the car. Parking at the venue was a bigger mercy than we expected because we later found out that checking bags was $30, and the line for bag pickup at the end of the night wrapped all the way around the venue. The concert was amazing. We were right up next to VIP, so everyone was super friendly. It was really fun to get to meet other Holo fans and cosplayers. The beginning had some audio issues. The speakers were really loud and sounded blown out, so we couldn't really hear any words in the myth medley, and then the Fire for Iris was super cool, but made us overheat a little. But it was all smooth sailing by the middle of the set list. Smooth enough for my girlfriend to cry over her Kamiyoshi performing Drop, and then again for the last few songs. We also really enjoyed getting to know the guests better. The guy in front of us was a huge Mio fan, and his passion was infectious. In fact, that's how the entire crowd was. Day 3 of AX and 2 of Serendipity. We started the day with another shoot today, and we try to get our photos done as early as possible so our cosplays still look our best and our makeup is fresh. After the shoot, we rushed over to the exhibitor hall to look at the booths and hopefully get some shopping done. But then it started getting crowded, which meant going outside. This was perfect timing to attend the VTuber fan gathering. This killed about an hour of socializing and befriending other Hololive cosplayers. So around 2, after we did the gathering, we left AX to try to avoid the worst of the crowds. But after the day before, we agreed to get to Serendipity much later than we had, so we came up with a plan. We went to the California Science Center. I love museums, and I actually love this museum specifically a lot, but we were here on a mission. Upstairs is this beautiful aquarium section that is perfect for photos, so the 3 of us enjoyed the offerings of this free museum for a bit before Venus locked in. Locked in on what, you ask? This. She had planned to bring pizzas to the line as Rara, specifically to pretend that she was playing the pizza delivery minigame from the Spider-Man 2 tie-in game on the PS2. She'd been worried that 6 pizzas were too many, but we ran out in less than 10 minutes. So now for EN5, she's planning to get at least 20 pizzas. Don't ask how we plan to transport those. This meant we finally reached our end goal though, Shrine Auditorium. Our friend Ollie had some trouble with security touching her pretty short skirt to try and check under it, even though there was literally nothing setting the wand off, which was really frustrating, especially after hearing similar stories from the night before. After we regained our composure, though, we went inside. For night 2 of Serendipity, we were in the mezzanine, which definitely had its pros, but the crowd around us left a bit to be desired between heckling the talents and just being rude overall. So we spent the pre-show on the floor again to meet and interact with other cosplayers before taking the hike back up to our seats. Regardless, it was a really fun night and very emotional to think we had just experienced our first Hololive concert together. So emotional, in fact, that I popped a rib out of place. I have a history of one specific loose rib, so I wasn't super worried about it besides the pain I was in. My girlfriend managed to pop it back into place so we didn't have to leave early, but we did head out while the credits were rolling so I could be ready for day 4. Day 4, the final day. Day 4, the final day of Anime Expo. Historically, this day is the one my girlfriend sets aside for buying merchandise. This year, though, she won the lottery to meet Beasties. She actually has a whole history with Pia and decided to cosplay her that morning for the meeting. This gave me enough time to actually wake up fully and get some content for her accounts. After she popped off the helmet wig like a Lego and we went to Omona to start buying. We got the Full Moko keychains and the Iron Mouse Omamores and chose the Iron Mouse bag with it. Somehow, all of these ended up staying at her house. We did try out Artist Alley, but it was way too crowded, so for our own safety, we skipped it. It was a big disappointment how little time we got to spend on there, but it was honestly for the best. To try and scratch the rest of our money spending itch, we went to the other exhibitor hall and came away with 1 standee. Yeah, I'm not sure how it happened either. We rounded off the con with a photo shoot back at the sets. They were much more crowded this day, but we had been prepared to wait in line, so it wasn't a super big deal. We got some photos I'm super excited to share, and then we left. Left on a mission. I wanted to play DDR. So we went down to round 1 and hung out for a bit before we were all way too tired to do anything else and went home. I crashed hard that night. After all that, Venus and I were both pretty much dead on our feet. Now, I know that I said we packed every minute with activity, but Monday was really a recovery day. We went to our favorite panaderia and had empanadas for breakfast, and then we went on a little drive until we were adequately ready for lounging around all day. Pretty much the entire day was spent watching Riverdale until dinner time. We went to get pizza and froyo, and came back home to watch more Riverdale. On one of my last visits, Venus invested in getting us both Knott's passes. I was really excited to go again because I love roller coasters, and she insisted we should wait until the afternoon because of the heat. Instead, on Tuesday we went around 11 a.m. We went on a roller coaster, got a hankering for sweets, so we grabbed a funnel cake together, and then managed one more roller coaster before the heat got us both sick and we went home. We took a power nap, then went back out for dinner with some of our coworkers before watching, you guessed it, more Riverdale. After a full week, on Wednesday, Venus and I decided to actually get some work done. This meant going to the beautiful Los Angeles Central Library, where we spent 3 hours trying to figure out what two VTubers were while watching a Minecraft roleplay. This is because after our current build, we want to have our next project already lined up nicely to get started on. After those 3 hours, I was ready to do something hands-on, which meant heading home to work on a dress for our current competition builds. On Thursday, Venus had a morning shift, so I took her to work and then sat in the lobby and sewed. It was a nice breath of normalcy in the middle of the week, and while these pictures don't look like much, this was some major progress in our current build I've been dying to make. Then we did something I never do. A request that shocked my girlfriend when I made it, and I think shocked her even more when I was ready to follow through. We went to the beach, and I got in the ocean. For as much as Venus is a California girl, the username Desert Mouse is based in at least a little fact. I hate swimming, and I hate cold water more than anything, but I wanted to face that, so we packed up our stuff, got some dinner, and played in the ocean. And dare I say it, I had a lot of fun. For Friday, Ollie, Venus, and I all agreed to meet up one time out of AX to get some more quality time together. It also happened to be Iris's 5th anniversary, so even though we had all decided not to cosplay, we went as promised to Little Tokyo. Venus and Ollie go pretty regularly to grab packs of the Hololive official card game, so this is my turn. The plan was apparently to get a full box of the latest pack, but since this was so soon after AX, they were pretty much sold out. Ollie and I both opened up 2 packs, and then we had bento boxes and tried to decide what to do next. Venus is chronically online and suggested we go to the beach as promised to get photos, also because she wanted the fish and chips from yesterday. We obliged and went to Target so Ollie and I could buy new suits that would match. Then we drove down and got these beautiful pictures and grabbed lunch and went our separate ways. On Saturday, Venus tried to suggest another beach day, but I had had my fill of the ocean, so instead we got into cosplay to hang out at round 1. We cosplayed Rara and Crony, and my girlfriend insisted that we try fries on pizza. It was actually pretty good, and we were surprised by the size of their portions. Then I foolishly let her use my game card to play crane games as Rara. I will admit, usually she's pretty good at these things, but somehow she totally failed this time. It wasn't even close. So, to make up for wasting all my game credits, she took some photos of me. On our way home, we passed by IKEA and thought, what the hell, and got even more photos there. It was important to us that we spend the last day as normal as possible, so we ended that night at home, watching Riverdale. Sunday, the final day of my trip. Day is a bit of an exaggeration. Venus wanted smoothies, so we drove to Jamba Juice, and then they didn't have the flavor we wanted, so we went to a different one. Smoothies in hand, we watched our final episode before I packed up my car for the 10-hour drive home to my cat, who won't leave me alone, and my bed. I bought $14 alien jerky and spent $5 on a liter of water, and that lasted me my entire drive home while everything in my cooler melted. All in all, I understand why people only take the days of the convention off, but after this, I don't think I would ever do AX another way. It was so wonderful to get to explore at LA and see what the city has to offer, even if it is just a taste. And while my wallet might be hurting a little, this trip was exactly what I needed to make this summer. Hi. Are we done now? We finished recording? I don't know why you wanted to be a part of that, but I love you.